Welcome to the show, Victor. Thank you very much for attending.
I am taking a picture. Sorry. Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Welcome. And it's a very hot topic today. So, you've been very successful with your business ventures and your creative background. And nowadays, there's this whole concept of AI slop and the dead internet theory and quote unquote flooding the internet with quote, garbage media, for lack of a better word.
Uh-huh.
And artists feel insecure because they feel like, oh, AI will just take over everything I do. I don't know, I will sustain myself. Not just in, for example, fan artists or illustrators, but also from a writing perspective. Even some actors start discussing those topics themselves of video AI taking over the 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 interaction of real actors.
Mhm.
So I think one important thing for us to discuss today will be three fronts. So the front of creativity. So as a human being, bringing your creativity into the world and manifesting, materializing some creative output, being audio, text, image, etc. You bring something to the world with your creativity. The second front being the business side of things. So, okay, I'm bringing something. I would like to make money out of this, maybe even make a living out of this. How can I combine those? So I do something and I get paid for it because I make something really good that people won't pay money for it. And then the third front.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, go on.
Can you ask me one question at a time?
Yeah, sorry. I'm just giving the general background for
Okay,
the
okay.
conversation, not the whole, not the whole. Sorry.
You're like first part, second part, third part. And I was like, oh my gosh.
It will be one at a time, just giving the context for everyone as well.
Okay, got it.
The third front will then be the AI. So towards the later stages of the conversation, we can bring that hot topic of how you see AI being involved, or maybe you have used AI for some of your ventures as well, or some of your creative outputs. So for a single question now, can you tell us a bit about that creative process itself? So from a comedy background, I imagine you have a lot of iterations, so a lot of rewriting, maybe trying in front of crowds, seeing what works, what could work better, and how you funnel those into your iterations and making your shows better, essentially.
So your question is, how do I write comedy? Is that your question?
Yes, so how you go through that iterative process with the audience. So writing your jokes and then going to the audience and capturing feedback.
Okay. All right. So like I write jokes. I write jokes that are funny to me. So like when I think of a joke, when I have an idea for a joke, it's always because of something that made me laugh hard. Like if I laugh really, really hard, then I'm like, that's possibly a good joke. And then when I talk to an audience, my goal is to get them to laugh in exactly the same way for the same reason that I laughed hard. And that means that like writing a joke is like it takes on, it's a very different pathway for each joke, because like it's always about getting that feeling, and it's different ways to get to that feeling. Like, have you ever been laughing really hard with your friends, and you've always laughing when you're laughing really, really hard with your friends, it's for different reasons, right?
Yeah.
Like sometimes you're laughing really hard because someone can't stop burping, and sometimes you're laughing really hard because somebody has a really funny idea. Like it depends. And so like, but when that feeling happens where you just can't stop laughing, like how do you get to that? There's no real particular way. And what I do is usually I will try to convey that feeling, usually by acting out or writing or whatever. And if I nail it and the audience reacts the right way, great. If not, I have to go back to the drawing board and see like what the problem is, because then I wasn't funny. So it's just like it really is just like trial and error, just like everything else, trial and error.
That's really interesting because, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm taking two key aspects from your process then. The first one being highly observant of reactions. So how in your day-to-day life, how people react to not just jokes, but to natural social dynamics, how people react to conversations, what makes them tick, what makes them maybe change their tone of voice, their reactions. Am I close to that first point?
I mean, that's part of it. I mean, everything is involved in, like, I mean, that is definitely part of it. Sometimes you're just explaining, how it feels to be in a certain situation, and that has to do with people's reactions, but not. I mean, other jokes about different things. Like it just depends. It's very hard for me to talk about comedy because, like, it's very hard for me to talk about comedy because the thing I like about doing comedy the most is being funny, and talking about comedy is not super funny at all. So I like when people are like, I mean, I understand why people are like, how do you write jokes? How do you do this? Blah, blah, blah. I get it. But like, it's less like, I know a lot of comedians who love to talk about how to write jokes. Like, they love it. And I'm not one of those comedians. I like to do jokes more personally. I mean, I am interested in how jokes are written, but also this is me being super snooty about comedy. I am interested in how jokes are written, but then I'm not necessarily interested in talking to people who don't understand like the depth of what it means to like what goes into writing a joke. Like if I'm talking to another comic who is also a 20-year veteran, like my conversation about comedy is how jokes work is way different than if I'm talking to anybody else. So that's like, I think the comedy conversation I'm most interested in, and like this comedy conversation, I'm not trying to say I don't want to talk about comedy, but I'm just saying that like I don't know what I can bring to the table when it's like this is not like the avenue or how I would normally talk about comedy.
Gotcha. To be totally honest with you, Victor, I was really interested in that psychological factor.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I was trying to go in the direction of that feedback and the iteration loops of your writing, because it's not about the comedy itself or even a joke itself. I was really trying to get at the psychology behind it.
I would love to talk about the psychology. Now that I'm definitely interested in. Let's go. Let's go.
I really loved when you said about, one person might be laughing because of the burp, other person might be laughing because of the way the other person is laughing. So I was really fascinated by that, because in a way it's almost like you're reverse engineering the psychology of what makes a person tick.
It is about like what gets to people. I think that what makes people laugh more than anything is when they get to put together the last part of the joke in their head. And when people get to put together the last part of the joke in their head, like they laugh harder. And I think that's great. I think there's a lot of, I'm trying to think about the joke that like is a good example of that. I know like a lot of good street jokes where the joke, I think a great joke is a joke where the punchline gives you enough information so that it changes what you knew ahead of time, but then also you have to put together the last piece that makes you laugh. And if you have to put together the last piece, then that's a great joke, I think. And then, yeah, you've put together the last piece of the joke and it makes you laugh. That's a great joke. I call it an ABD joke because I feel like a lot of jokes are ABC, where it's like, situation, setup, punchline. That's the joke. And then I like jokes that are situation, setup, punchline, but then there's a second punchline that that the audience member has to get in their head.
Goes in their head, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's very interesting, because it's almost like from watching comedy, it's like you're saying, sometimes the storyline, if you will, is completely laid out for you. Is that ABC? It's natural for you to laugh because that's literally what the comic said.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to laugh at the end. Here's the whole story. But you're actually arguing that not delivering the entire story has a potentially even bigger impact, because the person is almost invited to join you into that storyline as you go through A, B, but then there's something in the middle that the C needs to be for them to connect those dots so they can get to the D at the end.
Yeah, I have a bit that I open with, which is really really simple. All the bit that I open with sometimes is I'll walk up on stage and be like, "Hey everybody, my name is Victor. I'm a very funny comedian." So like that's the bit. And so like the reason that people will laugh at the bit is because it's so absurd for somebody to walk on stage and say I'm funny, even though like they're at a show and I'm a comedian and I'm supposed to be funny. But it's like it's asinine for me to say that I'm funny before I say any joke. And then when I say I'm a funny comedian, that's not in itself. It's not really funny to say you're a funny comedian. That's not funny. But it is funny to be a comedian on stage and the first thing you say to an audience rather than a joke is proclaiming that you're funny. So that gets a laugh. But it takes the audience to like put that together in their head, for the laugh to work.
Even from a sort of psychological angle, it's also very interesting because you're almost priming them to really accept everything else that comes after in the show. This is going to be funny because
I'm priming them to reject it. I mean, one might think I am priming them to reject it because here's the thing. Like the thing about the bit is like, I think the setup of comedy is absurd. Okay, because when you're a comedian, you go on stage, right? When you're a comedian, you go on stage. You're saying to the audience already, "Hey, I'm a comedian. I'm fun." Like that's what you're saying. Like by your actions, you're getting on stage, you're holding a microphone, saying you're a comedian. You're already saying that you're funny. And the audience already knows that you think that you're funny. But to say it out loud, I think is hilarious.
Because it's really emphasizing that.
I know, because like even though that's exactly what is being said, to actually like that is exactly the proposition that you're making by getting on stage. But actually saying I'm a funny comedian is weird. Isn't that weird that that's weird? Like, but you're doing all of the actions. You're basically proclaiming it. People are at a show. They paid money. They're sitting in a dark room looking at you. You get on stage. Why? Because your plan is to talk into this microphone, make the people laugh, and be happy that they gave you money for that. You're saying by all your actions that you're funny. But to say it out loud is super taboo.
I'd say it will also help set the expectations of, okay, maybe this is not the type of comedy you're used to. This is going to be something else, something new.
That's what it does. It puts the audience it puts the audience in a weird space because it's already something that they didn't expect, and then it lets them know. For me, so for me, it doesn't work. It doesn't work in my comedy unless after that I am actually funny. Because if I'm not, then that's then it sucks. But if I'm actually funny, then it really works really, really, really well. Because then I've said that I was funny and I've screwed with their expectations.
Mm-hmm.
And then if I'm really, really funny, then oh my God, they love it. Then it gets crazy funny.
It's just a crescendo, if you will, of audience, let's say, fondness and even more receptivity to enjoy your jokes. Because oh look, I'm funny. I'm saying I'm funny, and I can deliver great jokes.
Yeah, it's a great opening bit because I think that because when I say I'm funny and I stand there, somebody giggles, and then I say it's gonna happen any minute now, and then they giggle again, and it gets people started pretty fast.
So, was that something that came naturally to you to think, okay, my comedy act is going to, or rather, sorry, let me rephrase that. This might be a very blunt question, but how much experience did you need to have doing shows to start to think that way, of think sort of outside the box of how to engage with the audience?
You don't have to have any experience. You can start thinking outside the box right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, anybody can do it. Just do it. Don't settle for inside the box.
I really love the fact that the answer was because, yeah, as a person that's very introverted and sometimes struggles to do that outside the box, hearing that you can just do outside the box right away is heartwarming in a way.
Well, there's nothing to stop you.
No one stops adults, right?
Or kids to think outside the box. You can think however you want to.
Speaking of that, then, Victor, so considering that we discussed before about talking of the business side of things as well, how did you approach the marketing side of your comedy shows? So how do you make your career grow and gain an audience outside of the room that you're delivering the show on?
It depends. You can, if it's a live comedy show, like there's one avenue, but if it's like a special and you're trying to sell it to a distributor, that's another avenue. People often deliver things online. Stand-up in general, stand-up comedy overperforms on social media. I was actually recently, I stopped prioritizing doing live shows unless I'm recording them, because if I take the time to do a live show and I get a clip online of a live show, then or me performing, one clip minimum, if I put up a clip, it's like a couple of thousand views. And if you go to a comedy show and just do like a show, if it's a packed house, 300 people maybe.
Really?
You know, if it's at a lot of comedy clubs, like a lot of comedy clubs seat like, you know, between 100 and some 500, but like very rare do they seat more than that. So honestly, if you are really nailing it with like, because it takes the time it takes me to go do a show, if I don't record it and get those clips, then like, you know, I'm missing out on possibly like hundreds of thousands of potential views online. And if I just make sure that when I'm doing a show that I actually record it and get clips for online, then that show, rather than just seeing, you know, 200 people seeing me, it could mean like 1 million. Like I had a clip that I put up recently that got more than like across all my social media, I think it got more than 700,000 views, which is a lot for me. And then so like, and to do that with just like one clip, like one clip that lasted like, you know, 2 minutes, and then it gets like 700,000 views. And if I do one of those, if I do a clip every day,
it builds up quite nicely.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel? Because, you know, some people are very, no, this is my craft. I like the warmth of being in the room with the people. I like to have those live reactions. How do you feel about, well, the math is simple. It's much better for me to do something online that can have higher scale. How do you feel taking that sort of more business-oriented decision for your career?
Say again?
So, you know, some people really like to be in the room and have that live reaction and feel that maybe it is more true to their comedic act. So how did it feel for you to, you know, take the simple math of, if I do something online, it's going to scale much better. It's going to actually reach a lot more people rather than the couple hundred in the room with me. So how did it feel for you to take that more business-oriented decision?
Fine. I'm happy. I'm happy about it. I mean, I just want to, you know, do things that are good for my career, that don't cause me a lot of stress. And then that simple change of just like making sure that every time I do a live show to get a recording, it's like helped me grow a lot. Because like I have social anxiety, so I hate hanging out in clubs in general. I just don't like it. And that's definitely a way that you get ahead as a comedian, hanging out in clubs and blah, 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 blah. But I've always like, I hate like the social interaction necessary to like move forward in comedy. But one of the ways that you can get around that is like, by getting into people's eyes another way. And actually it works really well, because like more than going to clubs all the time, if I just put out recordings of myself performing, like way more people in the industry see me.
Mm-hmm.
And I also can pick and choose what they see.
Yes. It feels a lot more meritocratic as well, because it's not about the right people.
What does meritocratic mean?
So it's based on your merit. So it's based on the high quality of your comedy.
Yeah, I agree.
Because, it's not about, oh, I spoke with the right person at this comedy club, which got me the next gig.
Mm-hmm.
It's because I was buddies with them. No, you had a good comedy act, you had good jokes, they landed well, and thousands of people saw you online. Those thousands want more of you. So it's moving to that online avenue actually gives you much more, authenticity to your act. Because those are the jokes, people like it or not. If they like it, they will continue to show up for you online and ask more of it.
I don't quite follow.
So I'm agreeing with you and
Uh-huh.
just arguing on the side of, by doing it online, you rely less on knowing the right people and more on the quality of your act. If you have good jokes, people find you online, and more people come to see you online and ask for more of your comedy.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
so
I think that it's like I think it's the same though. I mean, like if people are in person and they like your act, they're like, oh, I want to follow you, and they'll come back for more of your comedy too. But it's just like you have a wider range. It's more scalable.
Okay, so it's really a scale rather than behind the scenes knowing the right people. The audience still trumps.
Yeah, and people don't think about that enough, like things being scalable, because like right now, like stand-up comedy, it's harder to scale stand-up comedy. When people are scaling stand-up comedy, that's when they're doing specials. That's scaling stand-up comedy. And if you're just doing the road, it's not as scalable. And so like I think of when I started learning about business, I started thinking about scalability. And scalability with comedy is different than, with software, but it is still scalable if you approach it that way. And when I think about scalability, which means that you do the same amount of work but reach more people, and the more you scale, it doesn't cost you more work. Like the apparatus for delivering doesn't get more complicated, even if you get more and more people following you. Social media works.
Brilliant. Was it? I assume you're going to say it was quite easy, but was how much of a struggle was it for you to move to that online, to move to the more recording-based marketing of your shows?
It was hard because I'm still struggling with it. My biggest problem is that I'm like I'm very good at presentation when it's my job. Like when someone has hired me to present, or when I am on stage and I'm doing stand-up, I'm very good at being on camera. However, when I am talking from the heart, or talking about myself, I get nervous. I get very nervous, and that's part of social media. Like if you really want it to pick up, you have to kind of like, be yourself a little bit helps. I mean, there's people who are characters online, whatever. But for me, like I know that like the more I do like comedy, weird, goofy stuff, and the more like I reveal about myself, just like my personality, the better I do on social media. And so it's still very hard for me to like get out on social media. I think, like for instance, this video, this is actually hard for me too. This is a podcast. This is probably one of the first podcasts that I've been on where I've been speaking directly and confidently about stuff. I often second guess myself, and I often like say, I don't know what I'm talking about, or don't listen to me, or blah, blah, blah. I do that a lot, and I'm not doing it on this podcast on purpose. And I'm just kind of, and so like I sound confident, but this is unusual.
Oh, thank you very much. And yeah, you're coming across as very confident. Like, this is what I did. These were the reasons.
I know. I'm just like,
it.
it is unusual.
So, just out of curiosity, so some people struggle, and sorry, this is very much just a tangent for the psychological side of my curiosity. But
That's
some
okay.
people struggle to speak about themselves. They might be shy. They might not like to speak in public, etc. But when they are talking, for example, about ideas or specific things that they have done, they just open up like they're like a different person, even confident, really full of what they did, just focused on the thing rather themselves being involved with it. Is that something that happens with you, for example, that talking about your career versus your comedic act specifically changes your that shyness?
It changes my what?
Shyness. So you're less shy?
Oh, when I'm talking about my career? No, it's not when I'm talking about when I'm performing, I'm less shy.
Oh, interesting.
When I'm performing, I'm less shy. When I'm not performing, it's harder.
So you're fully focused on delivering the best that you can.
I'm focused on bringing the best that I can.
That was a question. Sorry. Yes.
Wait, what's the question?
So you were saying that you were less shy when you're performing. So I was asking if that's because you're fully focused on delivering the comedy act rather than focus on maybe insecurities, etc.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I consider it like a safety net. So when I'm performing, there's safety between me and everyone else. I have a microphone for one thing. I have my skill at, orating and writing and stuff like that. And like I have jokes written to, facilitate. So like there's like when I'm performing, there's way less, variables. Like, but if I'm at a party and I don't know anybody, yikes.
That's
Yikes, no thanks.
oh, that is very relatable.
Yeah.
So I would honestly like to learn a bit more about your business side or your business thoughts.
Okay.
So how did you approach, for lack of a better word, start with monetizing your online content?
How did I approach monetizing my online content? Well, first I had to learn. The content world is a really interesting world. I had to learn like how it works, I had to learn like how to make money with like the different facets of the online world. There's like drop shipping. There's like ads with YouTube. There's like newsletters. There's like Shopify stores. This Amazon KDP. There's like all kinds of ways to make money online, like a lot. And so it just took a lot of like studying. Really, I just went down a rabbit hole for weeks on each one.
Were you doing one at a time, or were you doing, let's try ads, let's try newsletters, let's try social media posts?
I was just doing little experiments here and there, like wherever I could. Like I was just doing different experiments, and sometimes like sometimes things would cross over. Sometimes I would be doing more than one thing at a time. Most of the time, it was just like one experiment at a time.
One thing I would like to get your thoughts on is that with those experiments, because it comes from behind the scenes, you're experimenting with something that's dear and near to your heart. So you don't want to admit yourself that maybe this experiment has failed. It's not good. Maybe I need to learn something else. I'm missing skills. Maybe the content was not as good as I expected. How were you able to draw those lines when doing the experiments?
Unfortunately, it was data. So I hate data. Data sucks, but it also works. And so, like, it's just like if you just follow data, like you can figure out what's happening. I don't. I use data as a like barometer. However, I definitely just like also just do things that I like. It's really easy to get sucked into like, oh, this got the most views. Let me do exactly that again, and then and you're trying to please the algorithm, and that's not the way to be, because that will lead you down a hole where either you will get a lot of views with something you don't like or believe in, or you'll get no views because you're like chasing something with diminishing returns, and you're like, it worked before, why isn't it working now? So I think that is a a plan for failure. I think that the thing is, it's got to be like a combination of both. Like, what do you love, and what is working? Where's the Venn diagram where that works best, and then play in that area, but don't just do the same thing over and over again forever. Unless you know what you're doing. Like, some people who know what they're doing, they can do the same thing. Like, you can use social media like a TV show. Like, you could, like, for instance, like, say you ever see the show America's Funniest Home Videos, right? You've seen that, right?
I've seen
something like that. Just like a show where they show videos of people doing funny things online.
Right.
And then maybe commenting on them.
Yes.
So that could be your social media. Because that's some people's social media. Some people, all they do is walk up to people on the street and ask them what they do for a living, and that's their social media, which is fine. And that's what they do, and people love it if they do it really well. And you can do stuff like that too. That's not necessarily what I want to do, because I don't find that super interesting. But some people have like just built shows online.
Sorry, I was just lost in thought, thinking, I think I'm going to ask it. So
that's really good for a podcast host, to be lost in thought. That's like one of the best things you can do as a host. I'm kidding.
I'm just fascinated, honestly, because I have various questions going through my head, so I'm just trying to pick one. So one I have for you next is, sometimes when comparing, so let's say we're trying an experiment online.
Yes.
And we're comparing with someone else. We might not even like them. We might think, oh, that content, really? Nah, I don't like it. I don't buy it. Let's put it aside. But actually, it's delivering really good results. Yeah, like, you're totally against it, but it's something that's really resonating with people. Like, for example, that example of the account that just walks up to people and asks them what they're doing.
Yes.
Oh, the question I have for you here, Victor, is how are you one of those people that can just look at content from a very analytical perspective and just understand, okay, let's dissect this. Let's dissect what's working, what's not working, and take away some lessons for myself, for my own content? Like,
yeah,
I
can do that really easily. The reason I'm good at that is because previously, before I was really into content online, I was working as a producer for like a lot of TV shows. And so that was kind of my job anyway, is looking at content, looking at shows and being like, what's working, what's not working, how do we fix it? Like, that's all I did for years, is examine media. And then so when I started really digging into social media and content online, like it transferred.
It's very interesting. It's just a natural, okay, just change the channel on the TV, so to say. No, I'm looking at different type of content.
Yeah,
but still the same skills.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's fantastic. The next question I have for you then, Victor. So we've discussed the scaling, we've discussed the experimenting.
Yes.
So when did you feel like you had that sort of escape velocity moment? So that moment, so in other words, that moment where things finally clicked for you, things started going out well for you. And
that's actually happening right now. It's like happening in my company right now. We're actually doing like that inflection point in the business is happening right now in my company. We're like in the middle of it.
Fascinating then. How did So this is sort of a common topic, that inflection point, different industries, different businesses, etc. How did you feel it come, or rather, did you even feel it coming?
We're in the middle of it. So yes, we felt it coming, we saw it coming, and now it's happening. So yes.
So was it in terms of, sorry, I'm just really trying to be really,
That's okay.
I just like this analysis sort of things, because obviously we're not talking about all the details of your business, but more of trying to understand your story so other people can also understand that inflection point.
Mhm.
So what do you feel like is changing for you in your business now to call it that inflection point?
The biggest thing that is changing, which is previously it was harder to bring in large clients and have like a lot large amounts of business coming in the door, and now it's much easier. Now, so really the thing that changed, the thing that I found out about my particular business is that one thing that I do really well is when I'm at a meeting with someone who is just a decision maker, more than not, they say yes. Like my percentage is really, really high on like those meetings where like if someone is a decision maker and they have like their hands on the budget, usually after a meeting with me when we're pitching one of my products, they say yes. But previously, to get those meetings, when my company was smaller, it would take me 6 months for every meeting to get a meeting like that. I would get one of those meetings every 6 months, but in those meetings, I would make like $100,000, $200,000, $300,000. Okay, great. But now I'm getting multiple meetings like that every week, and that just started. And so with that, and then I'm still having the same hit rate.
Wow.
So now, like right now, like we're like in conversations with like four potential partners, and like a lot of them are really big, and we had meetings with all of them, and they all are like, let's move forward. And so like we're just like waiting for the first one to like close. So like we're in the middle right now.
Do you, I know you're still going through it, so it might be difficult to answer this, but do you feel like there was something specific that helped you get that larger traction, so getting more meetings? Or
Yes.
was it a bunch of things? Also, not
Yes,
a big
there's
thing?
something specific. I hired somebody, and that's their job, to get me meetings.
Gotcha. Someone dedicated to get
Yeah.
you in
So
front of the
I with my smaller team, I worked up my company to the point where we could hire somebody else, and then that person really nailed it getting us meetings.
Very good. So really
Her name
defining
is Rebecca.
Rebecca, the key, the superstar.
She's awesome.
So from a business perspective, then, what do you see next? Do you still do those experiments?
Yes, all the time.
Is there any particular experiment that excites you and you can talk about?
Yes, right now I'm starting a worldwide video game high score league.
Can you tell us more?
Sure. So I wanted to make a worldwide video game league where anyone in the world can log on, anyone, like whatever country you're in, and play everyone else in the world on a one game and get and beat and try to get the high score. All right. So in order to facilitate this, I've created the Worldwide High Score League. You can check it out at worldwidehighscore.com. You can check out the regulations. And basically, I made a high score league so that the whole world can play each other.
That's, as someone that spends way too much time with video games, I find that fascinating, because you see the isolated communities. Oh, I am a very good player in game A, sharing their high scores. Sometimes in the game itself, we can see the top scorers. But seeing that publicly across games in a single place. Sounds real interesting and a lot of
Yeah, so
community
the whole
building.
world can see. Like there's one central place where you can go and see who's the best gamer in that game. And then like we have a place where we set up games, and so the more games we add, there'll be more games to like master and be the king of those games.
Just out of curiosity, will that be for esports as well, or sort of?
Yeah, it is
No.
esports. It's kind of like a more casual esports, but it's esports. Anybody in the world can compete. It's free.
Just get your name up on the board.
Yeah.
It really feels like you're translating that arcade machine scoreboard into the modern world.
Yes, that's exactly what I did. That's exactly what I did. Yes. There's a high scoreboard and everything.
So
you can see who the number one player for whatever, like right now. So right now, if you go to so the Worldwide High Score League is the organization which regulates the contests. And then there is, so far, we have one arcade online that we have said is official, which is High Score Game Arcade. And that arcade always has games on it every day. They give away prizes every day, and everybody in the world can play. It loads on your phone, so it's not an app, because in a lot of parts of the world, people don't have phones that are powerful enough to, run apps. So I made it so it has to be a web browser game. Everybody has the exact same game, same mechanics, et cetera, et cetera. You can play on your phone, your computer, your tablet, anything. And so it's the same for everybody all around the world.
That's really, like, generally, it's a really fantastic idea. And the amount of thought you're putting behind it to be fair and for everyone to have an equal chance of being able to achieve those top positions on the scoreboard.
Mm-hmm.
Well, all the best for this experiment, Victor, and that experiment turns into something big.
Yeah, I hope so. I want it to be something awesome.
So is it any game that can come into the scoreboards, or specific games that you bet, for example?
It's specific games, but any game we put on the website. The reason that it has to be on the website is, number one, we track all the scores, and we keep track of all the scores, so we have to have a central place to track the scores. Two, we also can make sure like there's a timer. So like, for instance, like if there's a time cutoff, then we make sure that the timer is the same for everybody. So like that's on our server. So we basically have to run the games through our servers, so we make sure it's fair for everybody. And so like, yeah. So, and that's how it works. So it has to be games on our server, but it can be any game. Right now we have 4 games. We're adding a 5th game and a 6th game in the next couple of days or weeks.
Sorry, water break. That's really good. And I think it's sometimes those small things that can get people through a bad day, because people are on the phone all the time. There's always someone playing some game nearby when you're outside, and that will help with people maybe in remote locations feel like they're closer to a community, to maybe get some of those prizes, genuinely do something good for people across the world.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you very much for sharing that experiment, Victor.
No problem.
I have, so the third front that I was talking about in the beginning, so AI. We've discussed creativity, we've discussed the business side of things, and now I would like to introduce the topic of AI. So to start with, how have you used AI across your creativity and or business?
I use AI a lot. I use AI every day, and I don't know how it is that I don't use it. I think something that I do that not everybody does is I use it for I make apps. I make apps with AI, apps that help with storytelling. I make apps that help with storytelling and writing. Yeah.
So just thinking, is it the app itself is sufficient by itself to tell the narrative, or do you use it as a sort of support mechanism for presentations or etc.?
Both. So the apps that I make that help with writing, they're meant to help you develop your ideas. So really what the apps do is the apps take care of like making sure the process is correct. And then it's your job when you're using the app to be the creative part. So like I have apps for different types of writing. For instance, I have an app that is actually we're going to release the tech demo today that writes screenplays. Okay, but the way that it works is the screenplay writer is not meant to just like write for you, but it just takes you through the process of synopsis and then outline and then character bios and then a treatment and then finally a script. So it takes you through every step and lets you edit every step and it lets you edit and guide every step with your creativity. But a lot of people don't know like the process for making a script. But I made an app that takes you through that process and uses AI to help you.
That feels incredibly disruptive because you go from having an idea but not knowing how to execute that idea from a technical perspective of writing. Now here we go. There is an app to help you with all that.
Yeah, it takes you through the process. You can have a basic idea. You don't need to know a lot about writing a script, but you definitely still need to know like how to tell your story or what your story is.
So in terms of AI, so actually I want to take that even a step back. So you mentioned that you've been creating apps. So is it really that case that you had no previous knowledge of programming and AI is literally bringing your ideas into reality?
I had a previous knowledge of programming. I've been programming since I was a kid. I was really into programming when I was a kid. So like, and that was like the 80s because I'm really old, everybody. Anyway, so I'm dying. No, so when I was a kid, I was like basic programming, C++, like all the greats. And so by the time that AI came around, it's actually great for like kids who grew up in the 80s because the type like what we imagined computers would be like is what they're like right now.
Okay.
Like when in the 80s, you're like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if you could talk to a computer? Like now you can't.
How do you feel? So because you have that previous knowledge, how do you feel about writing code alongside the AI? Do you feel like you can hand it off to it, or do you have to rewrite a lot of the code after all?
I don't think you have to rewrite a lot of the code. I think that AI can get it like 70% there, maybe even 80% if you're meticulous. A lot of people, when they write code with AI, the biggest thing that people do that is terrible is they will tell AI, hey, make this thing for me. And then AI will come up with a plan. They don't read it and they click to go. And so that is that is by far the biggest problem with vibe coding because like most people who vibe code do that. I think there's a smaller percentage of people who read what it says and then click OK because they don't understand it. And there's a smaller group of people who will tell the AI to do something, will read what it says, and then say, no, make these changes because I know what should really happen. And that's where the strongest people are.
Moving into that sort of architecture role rather than just being a developer.
There's actually this YouTube channel called Fireship, and really it's a comedy channel for programmers is the best way to describe it. You know this channel?
Yes, I've seen some videos in the past.
Yeah, and most recently he did a publication where he just said that like everyone was thinking that coders would be in trouble, but they're not because the job was never coding; it was thinking.
I think even coming from consulting is also a big help because you spend so much time talking to a client, converting that conversation into requirements, into user stories, features, that when you go speak to the AI, it even feels weird to just write a simple sentence and expect it to complete an entire app.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like your background really not defines, but really helps or gets in the way of how much productivity you can get out of AI.
It helps like a lot. For instance, like when I was making recent software, the screenplay writing software, at one point, like I was asking the AI, I was like, "Hey, I see that this variable is available in this step. I don't think it's necessary. Can you check and make sure that whether or not this variable is necessary, because we can remove it and make this simpler?" And this is like the AI had built this system, had put in the variable, and then when I was like, "Hey, this doesn't look like it's necessary," it was like, "You're right. We can take this out," and blah 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 blah. And then so we figured out a way to make it even more efficient. And unless you're able to see things like that and do things like that, like your apps are going to stay at a certain level.
You really need not necessarily read line by line, but you need to still see quote unquote under the hood to understand, to not just understand even, but to understand and have the AI build something that's really capable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any particular tools or models that you would like to recommend?
I don't recommend models because I think that you should work model agnostic, because I don't think what model matters. I think that all AI is converging into the same thing. Like, it used to be that only one thing did audio with video, but now they all do, and
Yes.
it used to be that only one AI you could make projects, but now they all can. It's like all turning into the same thing. So I think that you should learn how to use AI, how to interact with AI. That's the most important thing. And I think that which model is not as important. I mean, there is when you're working at a high level, there is some benefit about different models. Like if you're doing like very high level coding and you want the very best coding model to make that happen, I get it. But if you're like a person who's just like doing day-to-day stuff, like it's really very small changes. And then as we move forward, there'll be less and less difference.
I mostly tend to agree. Yeah, eye level for sure. You can still see some almost behavioral differences between the models, but when the going gets going, they are pretty much the same.
Like if you're saying like, I just had a meeting and I need a report done for that meeting, any model can do that. Like any model. It just, but if you're doing something very high level where, the upper echelon of the model's capabilities are being used, then I guess a specific model usually is necessary, and the specific model that's best for whatever that task is. But at that level, like, it's not a conversation about preference. It's about which's the best tool.
Yeah, and funny enough, the more they get to know you, the better they get for you. So it even gets more diluted which specific model is the best, but rather which model best suits your way of working.
Yeah, I'm really interested in the Quadbot thing.
I heard the name, but don't know much about it. Can you?
It's an AI assistant platform that you can install on your computer, and then it can do everything. It can be like a person. Like you can install it on a computer, and it can use that computer like a person. So like you can give it an email, you can give it a Slack account, you can give it whatever you want to give it, and it can use all of those things like you could.
A genuine assistant.
Well, that's what they say. A lot of people are testing it and saying it's awesome. I want to try it. We'll see. Experiment.
Yeah. Just be careful with the security side of things.
Yeah.
It's always
that's why I'm going to put it on its own computer, like it by itself. Like it'll have its own place to mess up.
I think I have one last question for you then about this AI world, which is what most excites you about either the present or the future of AI?
The thing that most excites me is building full systems because there's lots of amazing opportunity with AI, but one of the biggest opportunities with AI is that learning how to ask it the right question. So I think that you can use AI to accomplish a lot, like almost anything you want to accomplish. Like it has been very helpful to me in figuring things out, and it has been very helpful to me in figuring things out and understanding like how I can best leverage myself or leverage my offerings so that, you know, people always say yes. It has helped me get a grant for the National Science Foundation. It's helped me land giant deals. It's helped me negotiate things. Like, but the thing about AI is that you have to learn how to ask it the right question. It's just like history. It's just like not history. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. You remember Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
Yes, from quite a few years ago.
And remember the answer to the life, the universe, and everything?
No, sorry. Can you?
If you in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, where this is what I think about. This is why I think people need to learn how to ask better questions to AI, because in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, the answer to life, the universe, and everything was 42. That's what they were that's what they're trying to discover the entire book. What's the answer to life, the universe, and everything? It's 42. But what's the question? That's the thing that the book ends with. And that's what AI is like. You can have the answers. You can have anything you want. AI can give you the path to do things. For instance, if you say to AI, hey, I want to make $1 million in a week, these are my resources, it'll give you a plan that might possibly work with your resources if you ask it the right way.
Right. So one more thing that I remembered as you spoke, what would be, let's even say, what worked the best for you to help you ask better questions to AI?
Oh, this is simple. All you have to do is tell AI what you want, and then say to AI, what information do you need from me so that you can help me with that. So I think this is like a thing that is passed around a lot, but it really is super helpful. It's just like, I want to open up a flower shop. What information do you need for me to help you so that you can help me do that? And then it'll ask you a bunch of questions and you answer them clearly, and then it'll come up with a great answer.
In a way, it's almost like having an honest conversation with the model.
Well, yeah, if you had the most intelligent person in the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is the way people approach AI. Like imagine the AI is the most intelligent person in the world, or just like super intelligent person. And then when people approach AI, they're often sitting down at AI and being like, how can I make $1 million? That's what they say to the AI.
Right.
But if you said to the most intelligent person in the world, how can I make $1 million? The most intelligent person in the world would say to you, well, where are you starting from? What are your resources? Do you have equity in a house? Do you have this? They would ask you a bunch of questions to figure out where you were before they could take action. People will sit down with AI and go, how do I make $1 million? And they'll get mad because AI will answer them directly. But the truth is, it should just say, like, I don't know why AI isn't programmed like this. In fact, some of them are. I feel like with the deep research on ChatGPT is programmed this way. Like when you ask deep research on ChatGPT something, you're like, I want to know everything about this. It'll ask you questions before it starts work.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way I think all AI should be. Although that's like training wheels, but really it's people. If you're using AI and you want something to get done, ask it what information it needs from you to help get that thing done, and you'll get much better results.
I think that's a key takeaway there, because usually people just expect a lot, but forget that they also need to get the right context to the model to get the brilliant results that are expected.
Yeah, absolutely.
So thank you very much, Victor, for this conversation. It was really nice to hear about your background and even your way of thinking and approaching to, let's say, the changing world.
Mm-hmm.
Where can people find more about you and your experiments?
Just go to supremerobot.com. That's my company, supremerobot.com. And if you want to enter the Worldwide High Score League, go to worldwidehighscore.com.
Thank you very much. Everything will be linked in the show notes, so no one misses it. And please go check out these two for Victor. Thank you very much, Victor, and hope to see you soon.
Right on. Thank you.